na ibibigay ng mga teachers, learning activities na gagawin sa bahay.
The health and education departments have acknowledged challenges in implementing social distancing. That's why they remind schools of the importance of other health protocols. Some parents, though, are still worried about their children getting infected with COVID-19.
Ang liit ng classroom nila. Yun na nga po, hindi pa po ang liit pa. So pasiksikan, wala na social distancing. Hindi po natin maiiwasan na baka yung iba doon, hindi naman po kasi lahat baksinado. Hindi naman po nire-required.
Despite some challenges on the ground, the DepEd said it's now all systems go for the reopening of classes.
Sa meeting namin, the regional directors have said na handa naman po ang ating mga paaralan.
Schools open on August 22 with blended learning as an option. But the DepEd said they are studying if this can be implemented as a permanent mode of instruction for basic education. So far, the number of enrollees for the coming school year now stands at 27 million, 1 million short of the DepEd's target. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
And here to share her insights about the opening of classes, we have with us ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro. She's joining us live via Zoom. Welcome to the big story, Congresswoman Castro.
Good evening, Robbie and Sonia. Thank you for inviting me.
So, ma'am, are we ready for the opening of classes?
So, as we view it in our, in real situation in different schools, and also hearing from the from our teachers, we can say that we're not yet that ready. Sabi kasi handang-handa. So tingin natin hindi pa gaano handa considering na there are still yung mga rooms, buildings na kailangan pang ma-build at maayos. And of course as again on the curriculum and of course the mode of teaching. So sabi ng mga teachers, nalilito pa sila kung ano ba yun talagang dapat na gawin doon sa kung blended ba yan or limited face-to-face, etc. And then number of class size. They are worrying about the number of class size because the memorandum do not specify the number of students per class. So yun yung wino-worry ng ating mga teachers. And of course their safety and protection against COVID-19.
Nakita nga po natin kanina in some of the scenes, yung classrooms, kita nyo, dikit-dikit yung mga upuan, yung mga desk. They look new, they look ready, but it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem like any social distancing within, at least the ones that we showed. Doon po sa point nyo that there is no actually specific number that is recommended. Who determines that, therefore?
Yes, oo. Tama ka, Robbie. I have interviewed several teachers. Sabi nila, they will divide the classroom into two. So if they have 50 students per class, they will divide it 25 to 25. So that's just the same. So how will you maintain physical distancing in that kind of in that kind of setup? Considering na sinasabi naman sa kanila, merong mga categories. There would be face-to-face, full face-to-face. Yung iba naman ay blended learning and other modalities of teaching. So sabi nila, so nag-worry din yung mga parents, kaugnay niyan yung setup doon sa school, sa classroom.
Congresswoman, another concern, more than the infrastructure and the whole the classrooms, the distancing, COVID, monkeypox. Paano yun? Kasi 2 years na po tayong nasa pandemya and online learning, right? Tapos may rule daw nga na bawal nga ibagsak ang mga estudyante. How will they cope ngayon na babalik na sa klase? And what if the other students can't keep up?
Yes, tama ka, Sonia, no? First of all, siguro dapat mag-conduct muna sila ng diagnostic test or assessment test doon sa mga estudyante, no? So that we would know where to start doon sa mga lessons nila. And then, na-advise din natin na magsimula din sa mga mental health activity. Dahil ito yung first time ng mga bata din na makakaroon ng in-person at na maramihan. So mag-conduct sana ng mental health activity yung mga schools natin. And of course, yung curriculum, dapat ay hindi congested yung ating curriculum. So yun yung mga sinasuggest natin na dapat na gawin.
Are they going to heed any of these suggestions? Have you spoken to the Education Department, Congresswoman, and have they, nagpahiwatig na ba sila na they will listen to these comments and suggestions nga?
Yes, meron ngang kaming inahain na mga 10 points demands at kasama yon doon sa ating mga demands. Hindi pa naman nakikipag-dialogue ang Department of Education. Siguro tinitignan lang nila yung aming mga suggestion at yung mga iba naman ay nakikita natin. Like for example, hiring of more teachers and hiring of more non-teaching personnel. So gusto nga natin sana may mga nurses din and functional clinic in every school so that when there is a spike, for example, when there are students or teachers or parents na magkaroon ng symptoms, so ready ang ating mga clinic with equipments, mass testing at saka yung bakuna kung merong gusto na magpabakuna. So yun yung sinasabi natin.
Ma'am, even assuming that everybody is safe and that safeguards are in place, what will the challenges that will remain for the teachers in particular, lalong-lalo na sa mga blended learning at saka mga hybrid scenarios na inilulunsad natin?
Yes, Robbie, challenges pa rin sa mga teachers natin yung mga gadgets. Kasi may mga bata pa rin na talagang hindi rin naman talaga may sariling gadgets. Meron lang hinihiram sa kanilang mga magulang. Ganon din yung mga teachers, yung pambayad nila dun sa internet connection. At saka yung kung magkakaroon sila halimbawa ng 2 sets of students or 2 sets of classes, that will be a double preparation for them. So yun yung sinasabi ng ating mga teachers. At itong mga textbooks at saka yung mga modules ay hindi pa siya ready. So sinasabi ng mga teachers na wala pa rin talagang mga textbooks and modules sa pasukan na sinasabi nila na dapat ay na-distribute na rin.
Right. Congresswoman, kanina nga, nireport nga namin na you welcome this 5,000 peso cash allowance na i-distribute to teachers by Monday, pero nananawagan yata kayo na itaas ito to 10,000. This is for internet expenses. Paano natin, why all of a sudden meron tayong 5,000 pesos? And how likely is it na maitataas ito to a more, appropriate amount?
Yes, Son. Gusto ko lang linawin yung sinasabi ng DepEd na 5,000 na cash aid. Hindi ito bago. Matagal nang tinatanggap ito ng mga teachers natin before the classes resume. In fact, nagsimula ito sa 700 hanggang sa naging 3,500. Yung 1,000 dito para sa internet connection for 1 year. And then yung 500 dito for medical allowance. So hindi ito bagong benefits or yung bagong allowance na ibibigay ng DepEd. Nandiyan na yan, naka-include na yan sa GAA 2021 and 2022. Kaya hindi ito bago. Meron kaming mga proposal like for example 1,500 per month na internet connection, 10,000 para sa mga medical allowance, and another 5,000 sa teaching supplies. So gusto natin madagdagan yung 3,500 para gawin siyang 5,000 na teaching supplies sa ating mga teachers. Kasi bukod sa mga gadgets, yung mga pangangailangan nila doon sa, gumagawa rin sila ng module baka meron silang mga bagong module na gagawin. So yung 3,500 na yon ay para sa, supposedly chalk allowance yun So para sa ibang mga pangangailangan nila sa school.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up and thank you for your time. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro. Join us in the conversation. Our big question tonight, are you ready for Balik Eskwela 2022? Share your thoughts on our Facebook and YouTube live stream or post a tweet with the hashtag #TheBigStory. We'll show some of your comments later on in the program. Right after the break, We'll talk about how the transport sector is gearing up for Balik Eskwela 2022 with MMDA Task Force Special Operations Commander Bong Nebrija. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
A key sector in our transformation plans is that of energy. Another fundamental requirement for growth and increased employment will be the availability of cheap, reliable energy. This even comes under the category of ease of doing business. If we are to attract investors, both local and foreign, to set up shop here in the Philippines. At present, our demand for energy far exceeds our reliable supply. We must increase the level of energy production. We must look at every possible option that would be appropriate for the Philippine situation. There is some room to expand our present power supply through existing power sources, but this is only to a very limited extent. We must build new power plants. We must take advantage of all the best technology that is now available, especially in the areas of renewable energy. Our search for new power sources should always be with an eye to improving the mix of the energy supply between traditional and renewable sources. The technology on renewable energy is progressing rapidly, and many of these technologies are appropriate for the Philippines. I believe that it is time also to re-examine our strategy towards building nuclear power plants in the Philippines. We will comply, of course, with the International Atomic Energy Agency regulations for nuclear power plants as they have been strengthened after Fukushima. In the area of nuclear power, there have been new technologies developed that allow smaller-scale modular nuclear plants and other derivations thereof. Once again, PPPs will play a part in support as funding in this period is limited.
And you're watching the big story here on One News. The LTFRB is reopening some pre-pandemic routes of buses and jeepneys in time for the resumption of classes on Monday. Gerard de la Peña with the story.
Students who have returned to in-person classes are finding a hard time commuting. Among them is May, a medtech student from a university in Calocan.
Ayun po, sobrang hirap po. Kahit malapit lang po ako. Kulang pa rin po yung jeep na sasakyan. Kaya ang ginagawa ko na lang po, nagbabas na lang po.
Commuting is bound to get tougher with the formal reopening of classes nationwide on Monday. With this, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has released a memorandum circular ordering the resumption of trips of almost 70 pre-pandemic jeepney routes. This includes jeepney routes from Cubao to Recto via España, Quiapo to Blumentritt via Dimasalang, and Pasay Rotonda up to Manila Central University. Drivers like Tatay Elmer Cordero welcome this development.
Maligaya kami mga driver dahil sa loob ng 2 taon, ngayon lang tumangyari na pinayagan kami na buksan. Dahil katulad ngayon, kawawa yung mga pasahero hirap na hirap.
Aside from PUJ routes, the LTFRB has also opened up 33 bus routes that will pass through schools and universities. But this morning, only 2 operators came to the LTFRB's offices to secure special permits. The LTFRB said its offices will remain open during the weekend to give ample time for operators to submit requirements.
Nakipag-ugnayan na po kami sa lahat ng mga operators natin na involved po dyan sa bubuksan natin mga ruta. So basically, alam na po nila yung mga ruta na bubuksan.
LTFRB Chair Cheloy Garafil says they are planning to add 100 more units at the EDSA busway. Meanwhile, railways are also ready for the expected increase in passengers. The MRT3 management expects 2,000 more passengers will be added to the daily volume. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
And here to discuss more, we have with us via Zoom MMDA Task Force Special Operations Commander Bong Nebrija. Welcome to the big story, Mr. Nebrija.
Hi, Robbie. Hi, Sean. Good evening.
Sir, so more than 100 routes reopened in Metro Manila. But what does that number represent in terms of yung pre-pandemic routes available? Where are we at this point?
Well, the 100 routes is translated into 100 more public utility vehicles on the road come August 22. So that's a big number, and that's a challenge for us how to manage it, because aside from the PUVs, we're also anticipating a surge of private vehicles amounting to 436,000 on Monday. That's on EDSA alone. So that's also the reason why we introduced the expanded number coding a week earlier than the school opening in anticipation of the surge in volume of vehicles on EDSA.
But how many percent is this, Sir Bong? How many percent of the pre-pandemic routes will be back on the roads by Monday? Just to, allow us to temper our expectations?
Well, ma'am, it's really LTFRB who has the numbers for the public utility vehicles. But then again, for our count, for example, on EDSA alone, we're anticipating a 13% to 15% increase in volume. So, but however, the public utility vehicles will be plying the routes of the local roads or the city roads and not on the main thoroughfares. But then again, what the challenge here is, if this will bring congestion in the inner roads, it might spill over to the main thoroughfares as well.
Sir, kanina po, may pinakita tayong eksena that notwithstanding the reopening of routes, parang wala pang pumipila. We would have expected, or at least we would have hoped, na the operators are lining up, if not trying to beat each other to the front of the line. But kanina, the scene was that nobody was yet taking on that line. What is that? What do you attribute that to?
Well, maybe the announcement was too late, or there was no prior coordination with the transport groups or cooperatives. But then again, Robbie, that's also what worries me come Monday, because they might just ply their routes without securing special permits or franchises. Because most of the franchises of these traditional jeepneys have already expired. And if they will just ply their routes without securing permits or special franchises, then they might be apprehended for colorum operations. So just a warning to all those public utility vehicle drivers to kindly follow the requirements and the processes that LTFRB is announcing to all the public utility drivers, so that there will be no apprehension for any administrative violations such as colorum or out-of-line operations.
We certainly understand and appreciate the call for people to do this the proper way, apply for the franchise, do it legally, so that you'll have everything para wala ring hassle.
Yeah.
But speaking of hassle, the reality is schools will reopen on Monday. We're expecting a lot of people. Should it come to that, na meron talagang magpunta sa lansangan na hindi pa kompleto ang papeles, what will be the direction to our enforcers, lalong-lalo na when we're talking about the first day of school, and hindi lang yung mga drivers, operators ang mahahassle, the riding public will be hassled. What will be the guidance and the direction to our law enforcers, at least in the first week of the opening of schools?
To be honest with you, Robbie, the announcement to our agency also came in late. And what we were preparing for is manning the school zones. Actually, we will be detaining 581 enforcers to 146 public schools. And also, we will be busy in manning the main thoroughfares for implementation of the expanded number coding. So, and also managing the traffic all over Metro Manila. So we will be having our hands full come Monday, and I think for whatever apprehensions that needs to be done regarding the public utility vehicles, I think it will be the LTFRB, if not the LTO, who will take the lead on this, and maybe the local government units as well, because most of these routes are inner roads and not on main thoroughfares.
Right, but at least with the MMDA, Sir Bong, you do have a mandate with the traffic enforcers. Have you added like more warm bodies to the road, or are you planning to add more warm bodies on the road for next week?
Well, Sean, we cannot add any more enforcers. We are really our deployment is really thinly stretched right now, and that's the thing, because we have so many taskings on our hands. First, the manning of the school zones, the deployment on main thoroughfares, the implementation of the expanded number coding, among other things. So really, we're thinly stretched right now as far as our deployment is concerned.
I think usually, Robbie, when it comes to the opening of school or just school days in general, illegal parking or obstruction, those are the top violations that are committed. I live in between 4 big schools, so I know this, and I notice the traffic has started to pile up. Do you have a directive for your enforcers to start ticketing these illegal parkers?
Actually, Sean, immediately after the son of the president, we've already been cleaning roads leading to school zones. And for my team alone, we have cleared 60 school premises of illegally parked vehicles and illegal vendors. So we've been clearing obstructions near and around schools and the roads leading to schools. Because like what you've said, it's been 2 years that we did not have school, and most of the facades and frontage of the schools have been literally converted into parking spaces. And we do not want to have that during the opening of classes, because we do not want to inconvenience, first, the parents who will be dropping off and picking up their kids. And secondly, those motorists who will just be passing by on these roads and really do not have any business on the school premises.
Okay, maraming salamat po, MMDA Task Force Special Operations Commander Bong Nebrija. More stories after the break. Keep it here on One News.
My fellow Filipinos, ang aking mga minamahal na kababayan, batid ko na hindi madali ang ating pinagdaraanan sa nakaraang higit na 2 taon. Alam ko rin na ang bawat isa sa inyo ay ginagawa ang lahat ng inyong makakaya upang patuloy na harapin ang lahat na pagsubok sa kasalukuyan. I do not intend to diminish the risks and the challenges that we face in this turbulent time in global history. And yet, I see sunlight filtering through these dark clouds. We have assembled the best Filipino minds to help navigate us through this global crisis. We will endure. Let our Filipino spirit ever remain undimmed. I know this in my mind. I know it in my heart. I know it in my very soul. The state of the nation is sound. As for the horror stories that we have heard about the poor quality of educational materials and supplies that are being given to our schools. This must end. Our children must always be equipped with the best that we can provide.
The health department has confirmed the detection of the country's second and third cases of monkeypox. The agency said both patients have travel history to countries with confirmed monkeypox cases. Case investigation and contact tracing are ongoing for both patients who are also under isolation. Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles says the government is now investigating whether the sugar shortage in the country is indeed artificial as believed by some stakeholders. Angeles also confirmed that some supermarkets have agreed to sell sugar at the 70 peso per kilo suggested retail price from a high of 90 to 110 pesos per kilo. Utah Jazz star and Gilas Pilipinas reinforcement Jordan Clarkson has arrived in Manila this evening to train for the fourth window of the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. Clarkson will likely join the rest of the Gilas Pilipinas team on Saturday. Arian Kalumbiran, we are One News.
More parents are heading to Divisoria just days ahead of the reopening of classes to buy cheaper school supplies for their kids. But many ended up disappointed because, like a lot of commodities these days, the prices of back-to-school items have also gone up. Brian Castillo with the story.
3 days before back to school, last-minute shoppers flocked to Divisoria to buy cheaper school supplies. Nanay April patiently wandered the market with her 2 children. However, she cannot help but notice the increase in prices.
Hindi kagaya po nung hindi pa nagpa-pandemic tsaka hindi pa nag-umpisa ang klase. Pero tayo nabibiling mga 50, ngayon wala na mo mabibiling ganun. Ultimo yung mga papel, mga lapis, ballpen, lahat po nagmahal talaga. Siyempre pag nagbabudget lang, konti-untiin lang po natin.
Notebooks are now sold at almost 20 pesos each, 5 pesos higher compared to prices in 2019. The price of pad paper has also increased to 13 pesos, while intermediate pads are now sold at 20 pesos. From 6 pesos, pencils now cost 10 pesos each. Prices of crayons also increased by up to 6 pesos, depending on the quantity. Shop owners attribute the price hike in school supplies to the closure factories that are affected by the increase in prices of paper.
Maraming hindi gumawa ng factory at saka out of stock talaga. Nahirapan kami kung saan namin kinukuha yung mga kalakal namin.
Vendors in Divisoria say they will still offer discounts, especially to shoppers who will buy in wholesale. But some parents are still having a hard time creating a budget.
Ano na, sa 2.5 lang dala ko eh. Kung ano lang makayang bilhin, yun lang. Mga lumang notebook nila na i-repair, wala na talaga, kaya bago ulit ngayon.
Lahat bago?
Lahat, pati bag. Kasi ilang taon din naman nag-pandemic.
Nagtaas talaga siya, kaya lang wala tayong magagawa, kailangan eh. Pag mataas ang bilihin, mahirap ang budget.
Prices of bags range from 150 to 300 pesos depending on the design. While school uniforms are not required, many continue to buy them despite the 40 pesos price increase. Polo and blouse can be bought from 130 pesos to 250 pesos depending on the size, while prices of skirts range from 130 to 180 pesos. Vendors expect more people visiting Divisoria over the weekend to complete their list of must-have school supplies. For News 5, Brian Castillo. We are One News.
And that is the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News. All sides, all the time.